Now, the Three Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of the Three Martini Lunch, along with Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. We have good, bad, and crazy martinis for conservatives today. And Jim, it's not often we get back-to-back pieces of good news from the Middle East, but that's the case here to start off the week. Yesterday we talked about ISIS getting routed out of Mosul. And there are some downsides to that because apparently from what I've learned over the past 24 hours, a lot of that work was done by Shiite militias loyal to Iran. So that's really exciting news. I'm sure there'll be no lingering problems related to that. But the other news today, and we think this time it's actually true, or at least it's more likely to be true, is it appears the head of ISIS is dead. The hat tip to Ed Morrissey over at Hot Air here. He says rumors of the death of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi have floated for weeks, with Russia insisting that one of its airstrikes took out the self-proclaimed caliph of ISIS last month. Just a few days ago, the terror organization executed one of its preachers for accidentally referencing Baghdadi's death. Today, however, Iraqi news picked up reports from the city of Tal Afar that ISIS has announced the death of its leader. That report says the Islamic State has declared its runaway supreme leader dead, announcing it was going to name a successor soon. Also, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights told Reuters on Tuesday that it had, quote, confirmed information that Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi had been killed. Baghdadi's death had been announced many times before, but the observatory has a track record of credible reporting on Syria's civil war. So Ed's also pointing out that a civil war has apparently begun within the organization to determine who succeeds him. So that could be a good distraction from their desire to kill a bunch of innocent people. And Jim, it also appears that maybe the Russians actually helped a little bit in this. So there are a number of positive elements here. So what's your reaction?
I would urge anyone who is aspiring to be the next leader of ISIS, the easiest way to ensure that you will win that competition to be the top dog is to go out and kill as many other ISIS members as possible. That's the only way people are going to respect you. You got to have a firm hand with these guys. So just go around killing as many ISIS members as possible. Maybe people will happily recognize you as the leader. Right before we kill you. The statement that I was really impressed with the most was came from U.S. It was Central Command, Media Contact, Operation Inherent Resolve's Public Affairs Office. Someone inquired, "Look, are you guys hearing anything?" I guess they figured to do this. You figured that would come out with a probably an Oval Office announcement or some sort of official Pentagon announcement. The response was, "We cannot confirm this report, but hope it is true. We strongly advise ISIS to implement a strong line of secession as it will be needed." God, I love these guys. Just the perfect response. It's we don't know that it's true yet, but it'll be true someday. I remember hearing about this with a rumor of Saddam Hussein dying back in, I want to say, the year 2000, 2001 or so. And somebody said to me that when something that you'd like to keep secret like this, something that would not immediately leak, particularly because of its extreme sensitivity, sometimes you can see the reaction, just like the way the scientists detected Pluto by seeing how other celestial bodies reacted to it. In the case of Saddam Hussein being assassinated, which was the rumor at the time, I said, look, even if we don't know this, even if our intelligence agencies don't get immediate word of this, you'd see a lot of Iraqi military units moving around. You'd see people kind of, trying to putting themselves in place for the power vacuum and things like that. We may or may not be able to see something like this with a group like ISIS. It may not be that coordinated or that strong. It is worth noting that Mullah Omar was dead for 2 years before the Taliban finally came out and said, yep, he's dead. So it's possible that Baghdadi is dead. It is possible that he is not dead. I suppose you could call him Schrodinger's ISIS, simultaneously dead and not dead at the same time. But either way, in light of the news we talked about yesterday about the forces squeezing Raqqa, Syria, and the Iraqi military appearing to have kicked ISIS out of Mosul, it's turning out to be a really brutal summer for ISIS, which is just the way we like it.
Yeah. We don't like the summer of ISIS. This is much more fun. So hopefully there's a lot of dissension, a lot of friction, a lot of factionalism inside of ISIS, and they can't even get their organization back together again. So,
Greg, could we just say that ISIS is in crisis?
I like it. It's catchy. I might even use that as the headline of our podcast today. I really like that.
There we go.
Okay, on to the bad martini now. And just yesterday in the bad martini, we used a report from The Hill to point out that government officials believe that some of the memos that former FBI Director James Comey leaked to a friend who teaches at Columbia University, who then leaked them to the press, hey, those actually contain classified information, even though Comey said they didn't. Turns out some people took that a little bit farther than was actually true. That would include Fox and Friends, who apparently initially reported that it was more serious than that. Here is Steve Doocy's correction.
Yesterday on this program, we aired and tweeted a story saying former FBI Director James Comey leaked memos containing top secret information. We were mistaken in that. According to a report, half of the memos contained information classified at the secret or confidential level, not top secret. And the markings of the government documents in which Mr. Comey leaked are, at this point, unclear. Just wanted to straighten that out.
Just want to straighten that out. So, Jim, I'm seeing two different camps of reaction here. On the side that generally likes Fox, you've got, well, there's still the fact that he leaked classified information. So even though they went a little farther than was actually true, the thrust of the story is still true. And, oh, by the way, Fox at least issued some sort of retraction for this. On the flip side, of course, it's kind of sloppy journalism and a network that's out there constantly poking the fake news finger in the chest of other news organizations better get their act right if you're going to be throwing those kind of stones. So where do you come down on this?
Well, words mean things. This is worth noting because we had discussed it yesterday. I don't think you or I used the term top secret, but just in case that was wrong. Look, I think if nothing else, it's safe to say that Comey is kind of walking a fine line here. That if he's got information that in his personal memos that is classified at any level, well, then there's always the danger of those memos being stolen, hacked, lost, all that kind of stuff. You assume the FBI director would be using state-of-the-art techniques to keep his documents secret. Not like he'd be using a private, unsecure server, unlike some people we know in government. But all in all, this is, this appears when we're making an accusation like this against the former FBI director, it's good to be as accurate as possible. It certainly appears that if nothing else, he did not have top secret information. That I don't think anything in that New York Times article where he gave it to his friend, the Columbia professor, it doesn't appear any of that it's in and of itself was classified. But look, it's going to be an interesting question to see whether anything in these memos was something that, Comey had no business writing down and putting on anything insecure. We'll see how this shakes out. There's still a certain argument about hypocrisy of Comey, but in the end, those who are pointing the finger, when they say when you point a finger, you got three pointing back at you. And the Fox and Friends, good for them for making that correction. Perhaps they could even be a little clearer in that correction and saying, look, the information, it was secret, but it was not classified top secret. And in the intelligence world and people who handle classified information, yes, these varying levels of secrecy matter a great deal.
And does that suggest that perhaps too many people who cover this stuff don't actually understand it very well?
Look, considering how I feel like I barely understand it, yes.
So, all right, let's move on to the crazy martini now, Jim. And for that, we return to Bernie Sanders, the avowed socialist senator from Vermont, who, of course, gave Hillary Clinton a much stronger than expected challenge in 2016. He is well on the record, Jim, for telling everyone that if any version of the Republican health care bill gets passed and enacted into law, what's going to happen?
Everyone will die.
Everyone will die. Well, he's now got a even more specific figure on that. He was at a rally in Morgantown, West Virginia, explaining what would happen if the Republicans got their way on health care.
Now, obviously, nobody can predict exactly how many people will die if they lose their coverage. Nobody can make that prediction. But what experts at the Harvard School of Public Health estimate is that if 23 million Americans were to be thrown off the insurance they currently have, which is what the House bill would do, up to 28,000 Americans every single year could die. That is 9 times more than the tragic losses we suffered on 9/11 every single year.
Jim, this is such sheer demagoguery. I'm pretty sure well over 28,000 Americans are going to die next year, no matter what happens on the health care front. And secondly, a lot of people just wouldn't feel like they have to buy it anymore. And maybe they'd like another option for something that's not quite as expensive, if in fact that could be allowed under some new legislation. So what do you make of Bernie Sanders lining up 28,000 corpses year after year?
Look, as I have always told my volunteers, Republicans are way more dangerous than Al-Qaeda. You got to stop them by any means necessary. Give it your best shot. This is not a man who acts like one of his volunteers just attempted mass political assassination. Look, I get that he doesn't like the bill. I get he thinks the bill is terrible. And we can have those kinds of discussions. But we don't have to accuse the opposition of wanting to commit mass murder in the process. And of all the people who should be watching what they say, and all the people who perhaps inadvertently, but certainly in the past have had followers who have taken the criticism I'm talking about these things in matters of life and death as inspiration to do something terrible and violent. Look, of all the people in the world, I'd like to see Bernie Sanders being a little more cautious, a little more reticent about this kind of rhetoric, and he just refuses to do so. God forbid something else happens. I'd never want to hear anybody else saying we need to watch our words, we need to be more careful or something like that, because if this is permitted, then absolutely nobody else is under any obligations or any kind of restrictions whatsoever to be careful, to be cautious, to watch what they say or anything like that. And every day he seems to add, one more great example of this, one more, really heated description there, where if you literally believe, if you really believe that lawmakers were trying to kill many more people than 9/11, well, then it would make perfect sense to try to take them out by any means necessary. And I'm offering him that extension of the doubt, but we keep saying the same words over and over again. It gets harder and harder to not believe that that Bernie Sanders would never want something like this to happen.
Jim, if he's right about this, and of course he's not, but if he were right about this, all we need to do is make sure that ISIS loses its health insurance.
Ha!
28,000 every year, plus what the military's doing. That would wrap things up pretty fast, I would think.
I like that. There you go.
Good strategy. All right, Jim.
Finally, we found one he can sign off on.
Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks for being with us today. And be sure to tune in again on Wednesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.
Birth control isn't one size fits all. Planned Parenthood has expert providers to help you choose the method that suits your life and needs. Check out our convenient schedule. We might even be able to see you today with or without insurance. Visit PlannedParenthood.org or call 1-800-230-PLAN.